So, have you noticed this weird thing happening with AI? Companies are pouring a ton of money into it, but at the same time, leaders are feeling less sure about it, and things just seem to stall out. It's this classic story, right? High investment, but even higher frustration. Okay, let's dig in and figure out what's really going on here. Right off the bat, here's the main idea of this whole explainer, and it's super important. The problem isn't the tech. It's not about finding some magical, perfect AI tool. Nope. The real issue is how we're organized, and it's something that's hiding right under our noses. You've probably seen this play out, right? The strategy seems solid, the money's there, but then you try to scale things up, and it all just gets messy. Different teams start getting conflicting results, and instead of giving you clarity, AI feels like it's just turning up the volume on all the confusion. All right, so here's the plan. First, we're going to unpack that paradox and find out who the real culprit is. Then, we'll get into how to spot the friction in your own organization, understand why AI feels so different, and finally, lay out a clear path forward. Okay, so if it's not the tech, what is it? It's so easy to just blame the tools, right? Or to say, oh, people just don't want to change. But that's missing the point. The real problem is way deeper. It's baked into the very structure of how we work. So this underlying problem has a name: alignment friction. I love this term. It's like organizational static, that low hum of inefficiency. It's what happens when everyone, your teams, your decision makers, your tech, is just a little bit out of sync, all pulling in slightly different directions. Now, AI doesn't create this problem, but man, it shines a giant spotlight on it and turns up the volume. And that friction leads us to another really important idea: the translation gap. Look, every big new technology has this. There's this gap, right, between all the cool stuff the new tech could do and what your company is actually set up to do. But here's the thing with AI. Because it messes with the very core of how we think and make decisions, that gap becomes a giant canyon. So what does this alignment friction actually look like day to day? Let's get really practical here. This isn't some fuzzy, abstract concept. It shows up in ways that are probably driving you crazy right now. Okay, let's see if any of this rings a bell. You've got different teams using AI, but they're coming up with completely different answers. Your to-do list was supposed to get shorter, but now you're just a referee in more debates. There's a firehouse of information, but nobody seems to agree on what it means. And oh, this is the best one. One team gets super fast in their little world, but in doing so, they end up creating a huge traffic jam for everyone else. Look, here's the bottom line. You absolutely cannot ignore these signs. If you try to just power through and scale up your AI while all this friction is happening, you're not going to scale performance. You're going to scale chaos. It gets expensive fast. And that trust you need for any of this to work, gone. It just evaporates. So why? Why does this feel so much harder than, say, rolling out new sales software or something? It really gets down to the core of what AI is and what it does. Okay, this right here is the big aha moment. Think about old school software, like your finance system. It's totally predictable, right? If you do X, it does Y. Every single time. It's all about digitizing a process. But AI is different. It's probabilistic. It doesn't give you a hard answer. It gives you suggestions, predictions, a first draft. It doesn't just digitize a process. It gets involved in our judgment. And that requires a whole new level of discipline. And that leads to the one question that cuts through everything. It's this: when the AI suggests something, who decides? Who gets to say yes, no, or let's do this instead? If you haven't answered that question clearly and for everyone, you're just signing up for chaos. That one little question will expose every single crack in how your company really operates. All right, so we've spent a lot of time digging into the problem. Now let's pivot and talk about how to fix it. And just to be clear, we're not talking about a better slide deck or more emails about change management. This is about leadership. This is about redesigning the organization itself. The biggest shift has to happen right between our ears. We have got to stop calling this a tech deployment. It's not. It's an operating design challenge. Think about it. You're not just installing some new software. You're fundamentally rethinking how work gets done now that this incredible new capability exists. So where do you start? This redesign focuses on 4 key things. First up, you've got to get crystal clear on those decision rights. Settle that who decides question. Second, your workflows need a major update. Your old, slow approval chains just can't keep up. Third, you have to rethink what you reward. Are you rewarding people for being busy or for making smart judgments? Big difference. And last, you need to build a communication system that can actually keep up, making sure everyone shares the same understanding as things start moving at light speed. And this brings up a really, really important trap we all fall into. Look, AI is amazing at making individuals more productive. Someone can crank out a report twice as fast, sure. But those little individual speed boosts, they're like candy. They feel good in the moment, but they can be really misleading. This chart just nails the problem, doesn't it? Look at that huge bar for local productivity. Everyone's busy, 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 or making more stuff faster than ever. But then look at the other bars. Decision clarity, systemic performance, they're tiny. It's the perfect picture of becoming a much, much busier organization without actually becoming a better one.
So what should we be aiming for then? The goal is something called execution coherence. It's a fancy term for something simple. Things just work better together. Success isn't about how many people log into the new tool. It's about less confusion, faster decisions, and not having to redo work all the time. That's what a high-performing, aligned organization actually feels like.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. What's your next move? What's the most important thing you can do tomorrow? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. The smartest move right now is not to floor it. It's to pump the brakes, pause, and intentionally, deliberately design for alignment. Sort out that friction. Fix your decision rights, your workflows, your metrics. Get that foundation rock solid first. Because then, when you do hit the gas, you'll be scaling actual performance, not just a bunch of expensive, frustrating chaos. And so I'll leave you with this one last question to take back to your team. Take a really honest look at all the new AI activity. Are all those productivity gains actually making you work better together, making you more coherent? Or are they just a shiny distraction, masking those deep structural cracks that are eventually going to stop you in your tracks?